Hello there, Drew Hanish of Whiskey Lore. Time for another whiskey tasting. Today I'm going to be doing a tasting of a Nashville, Tennessee whiskey. This is Davidson Reserve Tennessee Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Interesting concoction here because it actually is a blend. It doesn't say blend on it, but it is apparently made up of a blend of straight rye, of sour mash whiskey, Tennessee sour mash whiskey, and bourbon. And it is a 4-grain. So this, like the 4-grain that I tasted for Prairie Ranch the other day, we have rye, wheat, corn, and barley. And no real percentages on this one because it is blended together. Small batch. I've been to the distillery. It's Pennington Distillery if you want to actually go visit the distillery. And I talked with Jeff Pennington on Whiskey Lore, the interview, so you can always go back and learn a bit about the distillery there. They were making rye whiskey the day that I was there, and so it was fun kind of seeing the fermenters there with the rye, which is a little darker than corn mash when you see that. I have decided, actually, I did a review video on this yesterday after doing sometimes I will stack up videos and I'll do 2-3 tastings back to back and then put them out. What I think I found yesterday is this ended up being number 4 in the day, and the whiskey came out not really impressing me very much. And I couldn't really pick out anything on the nose very well. And it's amazing that I just decided to drop it, came back to it today, and I got a completely different impression on this whiskey. So I think the thing that I need to understand for myself when doing these nosings and tastings is that there is a certain amount of fatigue that comes in. And of course, you're dulling your senses each time you taste a different whiskey. That's why sometimes people will say, have the really great whiskey first, and then, if you're going to continue and hang out with some friends, then the quality of the whiskey doesn't matter as much as you're going on into the evening because you're really not paying much attention to it. And if it's a harsher whiskey, you're probably going to notice it less the longer you're enjoying. So the issue that I run into in doing nosings and tastings is that I really need my nose and palate to be as fresh as possible going in and doing these tastings. And yes, it's good to compare and do comparison videos, that sort of thing. But I think after a third whiskey tasting, I am quickly going downhill in terms of my ability to catch scents and catch things on the palate as well. And I'm not somebody that likes to overindulge in whiskey. I want to have this enjoyment and be able to discern those different characteristics. So really interesting that I couldn't get anything on the nose yesterday. Today I am getting hints of oak. I am getting some rye characteristics in this and a caramel note. And this has kind of a sweet rye scent to it, and it's very present. There's also a little bit of I guess it would be a mineral type note that I'm getting in. It's almost like a vitamin C tablet is what it reminds me of. And yesterday I was having to kind of breathe in to try to get something out of it, and so I was getting a little bit of an alcohol burn on the nose. This is 50% alcohol by volume, so this is right around where you would consider a bottled in bond, except that it's only 3 years old instead of 4 years old. And so 50% alcohol by volume. It is batch number 9 and bottle number 537. So very cool that they give you that bit of information as well. All right, let's go ahead and do a tasting on this. Cheers. Sweet rye. Wow. It has caramel in there as well. Um, I actually picked up almost a plum note in it. In a way, it almost tastes like it spent a hair of its existence in a sherry barrel, because it's just like, whoo, that just kind of flew right by me. But I think a lot of it has to do with the sweetness of that rye. It's almost like a jelly bean kind of sweet that hits you, but then as it gets to the end, that leaves, you're left with a little bit more of the barrel influence. You get some of the tobacco notes in there. You get some corn flavor in there. And the caramel lingers as well. Not as much today as it did yesterday. Yesterday, boy, this was thick with caramel notes, but I think some of that was left over from one of the whiskeys that I had tried previously. You can try to clean your palate as much as you can, but a whiskey will set you in a certain frame of mind, and this happened the other day when I had, I think it was Ben Romick, and I followed it with the Amador California whiskey, and they stacked on each other so nicely. It was a perfect pairing to go from one to the other. And if there's an element that really stands out in one, it may cause you on the next whiskey to look and say, wow, okay, I'm catching that in this whiskey as well. And you might not have thought of that at all had you not paired it with that other whiskey. So and I do feel like I was probably getting some stacking of flavors there. It really is interesting to jump between whiskeys and days and rooms, and there are so many different things that can have an influence on your nose and palate, your mood. So, never taste whiskey angry. Really interesting. Yeah, the barrel influence is a little bit stronger today for me, definitely. And that rye note actually works really nicely with it. What it reminds me of, in a way, is that marriage in the Bonded series of Jack Daniels, that new series that's come out, how that rye and the barrel spice are really blending together and unifying to make a fascinating flavor profile of their own and scent profile of their own. Yeah, I mean, honestly, yesterday I was going to put this in the it's okay category. I put this in the good category today because I've given it more of an opportunity to impress me on its own. And like I say, I think from here on out, no more than 2 tastings if I have to record some videos ahead of time, because it really did make a difference on this particular whiskey. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you'd like to see more of these, make sure that you like and subscribe and leave some comments. If you what's your limit? When do you start to feel that you're losing that sense of taste and smell in terms of how many drams? And I don't pour a big dram. I mean, that's I mean, some people might consider that to be pretty sizable, but when you consider that people drink out of tumblers and they're filling, you know, I've been watching Mad Men lately. Sometimes they pour a pretty hefty pour in those glasses. But anyway, until next time, cheers and Slán Java. Nice. This has been on my top shelf for a while, and I have not, I mean, I keep it up there because it's a really pretty bottle, but I think it's going to stay down and allow me to sip some more out of it, because I'm really enjoying where that whiskey is taking me.